Welcome, everybody, to Spotlight 814, Erie's local theater podcast. I am your host, Ryan Dolly, and I am in Cam Studio today with the director of Gannon University Schuster Theater's Shakespeare in the Park production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Karalyn
Headley.
I'm sorry. I knew that.
Well, now people will know.
Well, everybody should know that now. Karalyn Headley, how's it going today?
Going pretty well. We did our first full run yesterday. We've had a fairly short rehearsal period, but I have been thrilled with how everyone is taking their roles into their own hands, and it's been really satisfying so far.
It's a fantastic cast.
It really is.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. So, A Midsummer Night's Dream, obviously written by William Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
It was written around 1595 or 96.
Mm-hmm.
So, people have had a chance to see it.
Yeah. It's one of the most popular plays to be done as a school production.
Yeah, in general, in history.
Yeah.
I think it's the most done play next to Romeo and Juliet.
And those are written around the same time.
Yeah.
Which is why it's especially funny that there's sort of a Romeo and Juliet parody at the end of the show.
Yeah. So this is happening at Leaf Center at Frontier Park.
Yeah, Lake Erie Arboretum at Frontier Park, which is up by the playground on... the name of the street is currently escaping me.
I think it's just off 6th. But it's like where all the slides are.
Where the slides are. You slide down and you're basically in our theater.
Have you been on those slides?
Yes, but I do not think I was wearing the right fabric to effectively slide.
Okay. I have video of myself going down the slide. And
oh, no.
It's painful. And my voice is just going the whole time. It's a lot of fun. So that's June 15th and 17th through the 17th, right?
Yeah, so the Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Not this next one, but the one after that.
Okay, and what time does the show start about?
7 p.m. So yeah, that's the 15th, 16th, and 17th of June at 7 p.m.
Okay, that's perfect, yeah. And we, encourage people to bring their lawn chairs, bring some blankets.
Yes, do bring lawn chairs.
Or blankets or something, sit down.
Yes.
Enjoy the show in the park. Will the actors be mic'd?
The actors will be mic'd.
Okay.
You should absolutely be able to hear us.
That's good. Yeah, Brenna and I went to see a Shakespeare show in Edinburgh last year in the park, and just couldn't hear anybody. There's traffic going by, and
that's unfortunate.
Nobody was mic'd.
Back when they had the motorcycle convention, that used to be the same time as our show,
No.
and every single time,
no,
there'd be at least one show. It was just, oh, there they go, they go.
I hate that, and I hate that they're bringing it back.
I mean,
it's good for the city, but it's just loud and annoying. I don't know. That's just me.
Careful, you never know where our listenership overlaps.
No, I don't think it overlaps there. So the show is starring Mia Cotton.
Yes.
Emma Richardson.
Yes.
Hannah Richardson.
Yes.
Love them. Jassy Camacho Vera.
Oh, yes. He finally gets to be a romantic lead.
I love that guy.
It's taken way too long. But actually, a wonderful thing happened, which was that the audition sides I had printed out, the monologues were, all of the verse monologues, completely by accident in the first night, were women.
Okay.
And so I got to see a bunch of the guys who auditioned kind of step out and have to play these women, very seriously. And I saw, sides of these actors that I think I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to see, because the idea was less about genders and more about having different the idea was less about genders and more about having different themes. Mm-hmm. And so Jassy actually read a Helena monologue, and it was actually kind of heartbreaking, and I was like, okay, yeah, this has got to happen. He's got to actually play a romantic lead.
Well, and gender swapping has always been a thing in Shakespeare.
I love,
and it's beautiful.
I love gender flexible casting.
Yeah.
For this one, we only have a couple of roles that are gender flexed, as it were. We have Hannah Richardson playing Nick Bottom, the Weaver. We're actually having Francis Flutes, the working class actor who ends up playing opposite Bottom. We're actually playing that character as a woman.
Okay.
And part of that just comes from my own history of... So the thing with Flute, like one of the few things we get to know about Frances Flute is that they really, really don't want to play a woman.
Right.
And some of this comes from my own history of feeling kind of like no one was willing to take me seriously in any roles that weren't already written for, my assigned gender.
Right.
So there's a little bit of me in that, and a little bit of... We've talked a little bit about just how femininity is a performance no matter who's doing it.
Yeah.
So that's a subtle thing, but that's like the one character I've ever voluntarily gender flipped, because for the most part, when you do that, the text will fight you.
Sure.
Because everything is based on some really rigid, early modern English gender roles.
Right.
And then you end up with things like, I saw a production of Julius Caesar that had a female Cassius, and I absolutely loved her, but they changed all the pronouns, all the references to man or woman, and they ended up, there was a line about, like, he thinks too much, such men are dangerous. When you change that to she thinks too much, such women are dangerous, it comes off differently.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, you have to be willing to answer for that and say if that's what you really want.
Yeah, and keep the original text.
So for the most part, I like just So for the most part, I prefer to just let women play men as men, let non-binary actors play whoever they're playing, rather than trying to flip it around. But this is the one situation in which I actually did flip it around.
Yeah, no, that's really cool though. I look forward to seeing it. There's also Seamus Clerkin.
Yes.
I love Seamus. Good guy. Garrett Blaslow, who I also love.
Yeah, I saw him as the steward in Into the Woods in Meadville, and then he showed up in my audition, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, no, he's our Puck, and he's been a delight.
Yeah, great. Chris Smith, who I don't know.
No, I worked with him. He's mostly done voiceover work before.
Okay.
I worked with him a couple years back in Drama Shop's Incognito, so we were each playing like 3 or 4 roles. And yeah, he's our Oberon, and it's fun to watch him play opposite with Garrett as Puck.
Yeah.
And he actually came up with this incredibly accurate idea that the relationship between Oberon and Puck is kind of like, when you have a cat, and the cat responds to you, and the cat realizes that you are its person, but the cat will also do exactly what the cat wants to do.
Oh, yeah.
That's Oberon and Puck.
I love it.
It's so accurate. It's exactly what I was looking for.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, Oberon knows his control over Puck is tenuous, and that there's going to be a gap between what he says and what Puck does.
There's going to be a problem. You also have Katrina Buchanan.
Yes, it's so good to see her again.
Yeah.
She was my first Helena.
Oh, great. Okay.
Back when I was in 9th grade and she was in 10th grade, we were both at Collegiate Academy, and that was the first Shakespeare show I ever got to be in.
Yeah.
So every time I recall, I was playing a fairy. I had 4 words to say: over hill, over dale.
Yeah.
And I was just lounging in front of a fake tree stump listening to our actress playing Titania. Her name was Taylor, speaking her extremely long speech, which now Katrina has to do.
Okay.
These are the forgeries of jealousy, talking about, and I really hope that the audience notices this bit, because Titania has this whole long monologue about how her conflict with Oberon over basically the child she adopted, because the fairies are in disharmony, the seasons, the weather, everything if that is out of joint. And when I read over that again, I thought, oh, that's gonna sound kind of familiar these days, because we had a bunch of 40-degree days in late May, early June, and then we had like 70-degree days in early May and even earlier, and it's frightening.
Yeah.
When the seasons get out of sync.
Yeah.
So I did that's a very long monologue, but I think it's something that will resonate, and also
it should. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the first ones that taught me to slowly understand the language.
Yeah, that's good. It is a different language. It's difficult. Some people don't understand it.
It's the same language in a different order. There are a couple of different constructions. Would that I, or just using subject and object pronouns differently, like wilt thou give it me.
Yeah.
instead of give it to me.
Right. It's also the iambic pentameter, which is very difficult for some actors who have never done Shakespeare.
Yeah. No, and we talked about that a little bit. I haven't been... There's a class of actors, creators called iambic fundamentalists who basically insist on playing everything to the rhythm, even if it seems like it shouldn't be.
Oh.
The classic example being the first line of Juliet's "Gallop apace, ye fiery-footed steeds."
Yeah.
I met one of my favorite actors, Sarah Topham, who I got to see as Juliet, and she just blew me away. I got to hear from her later, and she mostly does things that way. And she makes it sound incredibly natural.
Mm-hmm. Which is tough to do.
Yeah. I feel like learning iambic pentameter is... The first part is you have to figure out what the heck it is everyone's talking about, and that took me a few tries.
Yeah.
It was the 1980s John Barton playing Shakespeare series that finally did it for me.
Okay.
And I realized it's like a horse galloping 5 times. Da-da, 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 da-da.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried for so many years to try and explain this to people, and I don't know if it's just a person's natural like rhythmic sense or sense of timing that picks up on it, but it can take a while. But then once you get it, it does help you.
Yeah.
It helps you learn the verse lines because you realize how big of a space you might be missing. And my mind has learned to more or less find something that'll fill that space, even if it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Find something close enough anyway.
Yeah, but that's really hard to do for Shakespeare. So it's impressive that you can do that.
And also just helps you with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think that the process of learning it is a process of making it really, really obvious and then pulling back from making it really, really obvious.
Yeah. You also have Patrick Philip Becker, who I haven't seen in ages.
Yeah.
Bella Freed.
Yeah.
And Howard Lang.
Yes.
So you
I accidentally cast Howard as a playwright.
Accidentally?
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it, but there we are.
Well,
and it's very fun. He's great in that role. I got to play that role before.
Howard's a great playwright. His stories are very interesting.
Yeah.
He's got one coming up at the Originals weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
And yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
So some fun facts about Midsummer Night's Dream.
Mm-hmm.
The play is one of the few Shakespearean works not based on pre-existing history or literature.
Yeah, it's a whole mix of different. Yeah, it's a whole mix of different legends and tropes and mythologies and.
Yeah. So, and some scholars believe that Midsummer was first performed at an aristocratic wedding.
There are, we can't say for sure, but there are those theories.
Yeah.
It's really fun. The one I've only actually seen a couple professional productions of Midsummer, and one of them was at the Stratford Festival in Ontario in 2014, I want to say. And the way they framed it was they were performing this at a wedding.
Okay.
In that case, it was a wedding between 2 men, and they also had a female Lysander.
Okay.
To sort of have that paralleling.
Yeah.
And it was very festive, exuberant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And Puck, who is also known as Robin Goodfellow,
yes,
was not invented by Shakespeare.
No.
He's a figure from English folklore, known for playing pranks on humans.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare just kind of made him iconic.
Yeah.
So
definitely. This is more of a country spirit being put into this, at least according to what I've been reading, a sort of new concept of, I mean, the fairy tales had their courts,
mm-hmm.
their, societies, but like Oberon and Titania, that is like, they're about as courtly as you get. But then you take Puck, who's really this spirit who hangs around tricking like milkmaids and, regular people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a rustic, more of a common spirit. And so I've tried to I wanted to bring out the contrast between him and the other fairies, between him and Oberon.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's something that's been in the back of my mind, because I think it's kind of fun to think about how this guy is so much doing his own thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there have been like a ton of like direct references and adaptations in film.
Oh yes. Did you ever see the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode?
No.
That's how. That's how.
Brenna will love this reference, by the way.
Yes. No, that's where I first learned love sees not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. And then with my friends, we'd joke about winged stupid. But
do they like do a production of it?
They do, and he says that Lysander sounds like a mouthwash, and he's right.
It does. It really does. Dead Poets Society, the 1989 film.
I still haven't seen that. I've been meaning to see that for like half my life.
So the students perform scenes from Midsummer in that show, in that movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's starring Robin Williams as Mr. Keating. He's a teacher, inspiring love for literature.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Sean Leonard, he's Neil Perry, who performs Midsummer in the school play as Puck, and Ethan Hawke is in it. And then in 2001, Get Over It, a teen rom-com loosely based on A Midsummer Night's Dream, features a school musical version of the play with original songs and follows mismatched lovers, love potions, and romantic confusion. And that stars Ben Foster, Kirsten Dunst, Cisco, the thong song guy, and Martin Short.
Oh.
Who surprisingly plays over-the-top director.
You don't say.
What? I'm blown away that Cisco, thong song Cisco, is in that.
That's wild.
Another one is Were the World Mine.
Oh, I want to see that one.
In 2008, yeah, it's a queer teen musical inspired directly by Midsummer, in which the main character uses the love potion from the play to disrupt the heteronormative town.
Yeah. The love potion is such a tricky thing, and when I was studying this in grad school, we were looking at adaptations. We actually got like farther afield than direct adaptations, and ended up comparing my project partner and I ended up comparing and contrasting Midsummer with the movie Strange Magic.
Yeah.
Which has a lot of the same... Which was
the next one I was going to bring up, actually.
A lot of the same elements, but put together completely differently. And one thing that I really loved about that was that they got into the fact that a love potion is... Well, though they didn't put it in these words, a violation of consent in some way.
Yeah,
this person is no longer acting under their own control, under their own will. And, like, we should stop and think about the ethical ramifications of that. Now, does this happen in Midsummer at all? No, it does not.
Yeah, Strange Magic, which you just mentioned, it was in 2015. I need to see this because this was my first time hearing about it, and I read about it last night.
Oh, it's so fun. I want to watch it
A
again.
computer-animated jukebox musical fantasy film produced by Lucasfilm of Star Wars and distributed by Touchstone Productions, Disney label at the time. Very loosely based on A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Very, very loosely.
Yeah. And it features songs like Can't Help Falling in Love, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and Bad Romance. And
it's also got Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth.
Yep, so Evan Rachel Wood, Alan Cumming is the Bog King, Kristen Chenoweth is Sugar Plum Fairy, and Maya Rudolph, Sam Palladio, and Alfred Molina also appear in the film.
I think Elijah Kelly's in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really interesting, and I need to see it. People talk about it like it's like a cult thing.
It is so fun.
Like it's so bad that it's good.
I don't know. When you put enough heart into anything.
Yeah. It's also been, on television appearances and stuff like that. The Simpsons did it. Tales from the Public Domain, season 13.
Tales from the Public Domain.
It features Midsummer Night's Dream as one of the stories with Lisa as Titania and Bart as Puck. And Homer as Oberon.
That's really weird that those two are Titania and Oberon, because those two are supposed to be... Okay.
Yep.
That's definitely a thing they did.
Yep, they did a thing. Shakespeare Retold, which is on BBC in 2005, is a modernized TV film version set on a holiday resort.
If that was going to happen anywhere.
Yeah. I figured that would be like a Hallmark movie. With fairies replaced by mischievous partygoers and love spells by drugs.
I mean, yes, that's how we've been talking about it this entire time in rehearsal.
Glee Season 3, The Purple Piano Project. Not a full adaptation, but includes some references to Midsummer during drama rehearsals. And then the interesting one here is Star Trek The Next Generation, The Defector, Season 3, Episode 10. At the beginning of the episode, Commander Data is rehearsing a scene from Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's beautiful.
On the holodeck, playing Captain Oberon.
Captain Oberon?
Yeah. And Patrick Stewart, who has
worked extensively with the RSC.
In Shakespeare, very renowned Shakespearean actor. He watches Data perform and offers notes on his delivery.
Data.
Yeah, so I need to see that. I'm not a big Star Trek fan, but
most of my knowledge is original series from a while back, but I gotta get back into that and see more of them.
Yeah, not really my thing, but I get it for people who do like it. All right, so we're gonna do something that I started in last year.
Okay.
It's called Ryan Reads Reddit. And then we're gonna take our Werner Books coffee break.
Cool.
So I read this one last night. It's from 2 days ago, and it's from the Broadway subreddit.
Oh, that should be fun.
It's titled, "Has anyone heard of this person? Weird interaction with a Broadway influencer."
What does that mean?
With my new job I just started, I learned that I hate influencers. Like, they're the worst.
You just now figured that out.
Oh my God. Well, it's just like, okay, an example is I reached out to one offering to send the product, and their agent got back to me and said, it's $20,000 for a 30-second Instagram reel. I was like, never mind.
Wait, they'd make you pay $20,000?
Yeah.
To do what exactly?
To make an Instagram reel featuring your product.
Wow.
I picked the wrong profession, I believe.
But they'd make you pay $20,000 to feature whatever the heck this was?
Yeah. So Malcolm Hollis, artist at Arise Artist Agency. Okay, that's it. Arise Artist Agency, New York Conservatory, and the Museum of Broadway. Apparently he works there. So that's all from his Instagram page. So it starts with, "This is a throwaway account. Has anyone heard of this Broadway influencer? No drama, just want to share my interaction with this person and get some perspective. I was at the barricade for Ham this week, which they do before every Hamilton show, out on the street, which is really cool.
Happy to see they'd started that up again.
Yeah. And the person says, I got there hours before it started to ensure my spot. This person got there late and was pushing to the front of the barricade by pulling women back by their shoulders to get in front of them, which is not okay for anyone to do in any remote capacity. This person is very tall and was able to take advantage of that. I watched him cut people in line that had been there for hours like me.
Jeez.
Then get up to where I was standing. This person told multiple people, me included, that he was a famous Broadway influencer and he worked at the Museum of Broadway, and to not get upset that they were recording. This person hit me with their arm, shoulder, entire side, and phone to reach over, pushed me out of the way, and disrupted my view of the show. I watched him shove their camera in the faces of many performers that looked wildly uncomfortable and many crowd members. I eventually pushed this person off me and tried to signal for security to help, but at that point, he was not giving up, and I just let this person in front of me to avoid any tension. I'd never heard of this person before, but they popped up on my FYP later that night. He has many followers, but limited engagement with their posts, so I'm wondering if they're an actual Broadway influencer or not. Has anyone had a similar experience or interactions with this guy? He said he works at the Museum of Broadway. Can anyone verify that? Their behavior is very concerning. I feel crazy posting this on Broadway Reddit, but the whole interaction really left a bad taste in my mouth."
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a legitimate reason to be there and be filming, you should be able to contact people ahead of time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
If you are that big of an influencer,
yeah, you shouldn't need to
do
any of that.
And somebody responded with, dude, I've been waiting for this person to get called out because I've had numerous interactions with Malcolm, and they are all very similar to what you experienced. Let's start off with this. They are not an influencer. Followers have been bought, and the engagement is not there. They might have had a few posts get views or pay for their content to get promoted, but it's not enough for Malcolm to even remotely be considered an influencer. He posts recorded show audio on his platforms too, which is something the theaters not something the theaters take lightly.
No.
They probably won't promote a person doing something illegal, even if most people do it anyway.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So this guy's personal experience. Malcolm cut in front of people at Broadway Flea Market last year using the line of, I'm with the Museum of Broadway. I'm a famous theater influencer while they do it. I watched him firsthand yanking a young woman by the shoulder multiple times to get in front of her.
If this guy does work there, then he shouldn't anymore.
He does not.
He does
anymore.
Not. You know what?
After
Good.
this was 2 days ago.
Good,
they
because
fired
that
him
would
yesterday.
That would destroy one's reputation.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
Yeah. So he was trying to get to the table for The Outsiders last year.
Mm-hmm.
The man she was with had to step in and tell Malcolm to back off, but he still managed to cut in front of over 100 people in line. I watched him fully crash out and start a tantrum in The Outsiders line when people started yelling that he needed to go back to the back of the line. He was confronted by multiple people, including the crew running the booth, but he just threw money at them when it wasn't his turn to check out. Took a pony book notebook out of the workers' hands and stormed off.
Jeez.
Later saw him rip stuff out of people's hands so he could buy it at other booths. Wow, this guy sounds like...
How are you selecting the things you read for this segment?
I just, find things. I spend a little time on Reddit just finding the most ridiculous things I can find.
Finding the most ridiculous things you can find.
Yeah. And, like theater related.
Yeah.
And,
Man.
Influencers have been on my mind recently with my new job. So
Yeah.
this one kind of,
Mm-hmm.
struck a chord.
Yeah. No.
Shame on you, Malcolm. Shame on you. He goes by Malk's Creative. Stupid name. Stupid name, stupid person. Don't be a jerk, Malcolm. All right, on that note, we are going to take a Werner Books coffee break. We're going to come back with Spotlight, or What's on 814. This is Spotlight 814. That's the segment, What's on 814. And we're going to tell you what's going on in and around Erie. And we will be right back. Hey guys, good morning. I'm here in the studio with Karalyn Headley. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. Karalyn is directing A Midsummer Night's Dream at Leaf in
Lake Erie Arboretum.
Yeah, in Frontier Park.
Mm-hmm.
So the stage down by the slides. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the very end of What's on 814. We just had our Werner Books Coffee Break. Go get your coffee and your books from Werner Books.
They do make amazing coffee.
They do. What's your favorite one?
Oh, I like to get a dirty chai latte.
Dirty chai?
Yes.
You're a dirty chai girl? That's cool. I have been drinking the iced blueberry muffin latte.
Ooh.
And it is glorious.
Mm-hmm.
It's so refreshing for the summer. It's good. I got to buy a couple books anyway, so I'm going to go up there after this, I think. So what's on 814? PACA's doing a lot right now. PACA's got a lot going on. We have the Spotlight 814 Original Works Weekend. It's a PACA fundraising event that Brenna and I and Zach Hoffman have been working on. That's going to be June 20th to the 22nd, and it's a special fundraising event to support PACA's next phase of growth, including the development of their brand new theater and event space on the 5th floor and installation of a new elevator to make the arts more accessible.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. We know Jessie has a hard time with that elevator.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
My mom says it reminds her of the one in the movie of Thoroughly Modern Millie that they have to tap dance to make it work.
Yeah. I love that. All donations up to $500,000 to PACA this year will be generously matched by Tom Hagen. So
that's impressive.
It could be $500,000. If PACA can earn that, raise that kind of money, they're up to $1 million, and they can do all of the stuff that they need to do. All original plays written by our very own Brenna Thumler, Mitchell King, Howard Lang, who we already talked about.
Yes. And this is so exciting because Zach, who got to be in the very first staging of that play that they're doing, is directing this version. So he knows it about as well as anyone.
Yeah. And Zach and I play married couple in Brenna's show.
Oh, cool.
So it's very fun. James Hain wrote another one that I'm doing, and Daniel Collette.
Oh.
So we have some...
I've only gotten to see him on stage.
Yeah, we have some great stuff. So definitely come check that out. It's, I believe, a $15 donation recommended. You don't have to donate, but,
it's really helpful right now.
Very, very helpful. Right, and, they need the money. So give what you can. PACA is also doing Radium Girls, July 18th to August 3rd. And then today and tomorrow, auditions for American Idiot by Green Day and Footlight's production of Hadestown Teen Edition are today and tomorrow, this afternoon.
The teens are just doing all the modern hits.
They're getting all the good stuff, right? They just did 6, which was fantastic. Yeah, they're doing great stuff. Let's see. The Station Dinner Theater is doing Holy Cannoli. Holy Cannoli. July 18th to August 3rd. Titusville Summer Theater is doing The Addams Family, June 26th to 29th. Meadville Community Theater is doing The Wonderland Project, June 13th to 15th. Barrow Civic Theater is doing Footloose, starring Sean Clerkin
as the Reverend.
That's going to be July 11th to 20th. And then the Academy Theater is doing Rock of Ages, July 11th to the 27th. Now, over to Karalyn. I'm just going to flip this thing over and let you talk, because you were doing
all right.
Shakespeare in the Park, Midsummer Night's Dream.
Shakespeare Summer Nights. The program is called Shakespeare Summer Nights. It's been going on for about 21, 22 years, and I've been involved with it on and off, but mostly on, since I actually got to be a research assistant for an all-male production of Othello, directed by Sean Clerkin, back in 2012. That was a really fun room to be in.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been with the program off and on since then. I joke that Jassy, who's been doing it even longer, he was in the first Shakespeare show I ever saw, which was a Shakespeare Summer Nights 2010 production of Love's Labour's Lost. I joke that he and I are the elder statesmen of the Shakespeare Summer Nights program.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And it really is like the most reliable place to see a Shakespeare show in Erie every year.
Yeah. It's always a great experience. It's a nice day in the park. You get to just sit outside in a lawn chair or on a blanket, enjoy some Shakespeare, or on a rock, wherever you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the show and what people can expect.
So, like I said, it's one of Shakespeare's most famous and well-beloved comedies, and it's kind of a when worlds collide situation, because you've got like the courtly sphere of Athens with the lovers and Duke Theseus, borrowed from the mythology, and his bride-to-be Hippolyta, who, yes, he wooed her with his sword. They fought each other, and then she decided she must have been really impressed with him, so because they're getting married. One of the leading ladies, Hermia, her father decides that she has to either marry Demetrius, who is not her choice, or die.
Oh,
And Theseus says, well, okay, so that is what the law says, but you can also become a nun if you want. And Hermia, I mean, that's a better option, but it's still not great. So she and her actual lover, Lysander, flee to the woods, pursued by Demetrius and Hermia's like childhood best friend, longtime best friend, Helena. And while they are chasing each other through the woods, they run into a couple of feuding fairies.
Feuding fairies.
Yes,
We've
basically
seen that
the
before.
emperor and empress of the fairy world, and the emperor, the king of the fairies, the king and queen. That's what they're called.
Okay.
And the king of the fairies is upset because the queen of the fairies has adopted a human boy that was the child of one of her followers who she was very close with.
Yeah.
But Oberon wants to take him for himself and have him be like his servant, his knight of his train.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want to choose how I raise this kid.
Yeah.
And he's not happy with that.
Okay.
He likes having things his way.
Yeah.
So he constructs a bizarre plan to kind of humiliate and confuse Titania into giving him the kid. And that involves a couple of flowers. And the thing with the flowers is the main one, you drop the juice of it
Okay.
in someone's eye, and they fall in love with the next living thing that they see.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't even have to be a person.
Yeah.
In the show, it is mostly people. Well, it's all people, but there's kind of a twist on one of them.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll have to find out what that twist is.
In the meantime, there's these other guys. And this is, I love that this is the one place where Shakespeare takes the time to just show us a bunch of people putting on a play.
Yeah.
I love when theater people make fun of theater people.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was his goal with this one, was to make fun of like
For these guys?
local theaters, like
Absolutely.
performing troops and stuff at the time. And
Absolutely.
just make fun of them.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of working class guys. One of them's written a play in classic style, very rigid, poetic meter. And he's gotten a bunch of his friends to come do this. And, if they play well enough as part of the wedding festivities, they could get, they could get paid for this, among other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them are more excited about this than others.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see the show. Now, when does it run again?
It is the 15th, 16th, and 17th. So that is Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in Frontier Park, again by the slides, at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. all 3 nights.
All 3 nights.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely come check that out.
Yeah.
Karalyn is the director.
We've got a stellar cast.
The cast is amazing.
I'm so impressed with them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So before we wrap things up, I want to say thank you to Karalyn. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
And it was
Thank you
great
for
to
having
have you.
me.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. One thing I want to mention before we leave is our Patreon is back.
Okay.
Brenna mostly has worked very, very hard on putting together a monthly newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
which includes a comprehensive calendar, including all the shows, all the auditions, everything you need to know. You can see it right there.
Brenna's amazing. We knew that already.
So that's a little sample of what you can get. You're not going to get that anywhere else in Erie.
You're really not.
It'll tell you when the shows are, what times, auditions, any other theater-related events. So check it out. And we also are going to put the spotlight on, 1 or 2 people in the community that are doing some cool stuff. This month, we have Karina Del Greco, who is doing 2 of the original plays at PACA, and she's also in Rock of Ages in Meadville. So we're doing a little interview with her.
Cool.
And another one with Brett Johnson from MIAC.
Huh.
And talk a little bit about his process for picking the season and, teaching. And it's really cool. So
I got to do his history of musical theater class, and it's probably the coolest thing I got to do in college.
yeah. So check it out for the price of a coffee every month. You can join. It's $3 or $5, your choice.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps us keep the lights on. So
Mhm.
yeah, podcasting is not cheap.
Nope.
So, and we don't get paid for this. So check it out on our Patreon. You can just go to Patreon and look up Spotlight 814 and you will find us. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you once again, Karalyn Headley. And go see a Midsummer Night's Dream. Get out there and support local theater.
Yeah, this one is completely free, by the way.
Yes,
This one
very
is
free.
completely free, by the way.
Yeah, free and awesome. So support local theater, and we love you. We'll see you next time. Bye.